Okay, we've got a video today. Brian messed up. I don't know if it's a mess up, but the customer was not happy with his guitar, so it's a mess up. Okay, this is a D-35. This is one of those guitars, one of the D-35s that's in the video, Farewell to Five Flat Tops. And this is the D-35. Which one is this? This is 281. I think I called it 291. Anyway, it's 281. So if you go look at that video, you can see me playing it. Okay, the problem with this guitar, I reshaped the bridge. It was a fat bridge, and I reshaped it down to pre-war heights. When I did, the saddle was way high, and so I had to do a reverse neck reset on the thing in order to bring that down a little bit. When it left here, the action was great. 93 thousandths of an inch. That's 3/32. I played it on the video. It was great. Customer got it. He lives in New York. And he has arthritic hands. He wants a low action. And he said, man, the action's too high for me. Actually, I think he said he was extremely disappointed. So, that's not what I want to hear. The other four guitars that I sent out were all great. The people thought I was a magician. This one was not. So, Now, funny story. I had this exact same situation happen last year, and another guitar from New York. I don't know what it is between me and New York, but his action was high too. And so I sent him a new saddle. It was low. And over about a month or 6 week period, he ended up actually, I think his action was high, maybe it was low. Anyway, after about 6 weeks, he ended up with the exact saddle that I sent him the first time. So the guitar changed and then changed again. I've never had that issue before when I lived at the old shop, but I'm at 8,500 feet elevation here, and I just wonder if there's not something going on. So this guy got his guitar in. He said the action's too high for me. He sent me some really, really good pictures of the action, of the straight edge going down here, the straight edge going along here, looking at the neck. And, it was high. I mean, it was clearly up about 105 instead of 93. So I told him, well, just keep it for about 2 weeks, see if it changes any. Didn't change. He sends it to me. I open up the case, strung it up. I checked the action. The action's 90 thousandths of an inch. So I left it alone for a while, and I talked to him a little bit, and he told me what his humidity was. His humidity was about 55-60%, which is higher than I am. I'm about 40, and I should be more efficient in humidity because of my higher elevation. So I put some extra humidity in here, paper towel sponge. I left it for about 2 weeks, checked it. It actually came up to 93 thousandths of an inch. So that's our problem here, and that's why I don't just reset the neck, which I would happily do, and I'm going to do. The problem is if he's getting an action of 105, and I'm getting an action of 93 with the same guitar. So I don't know what's going on here. But what I'm going to have to do on this is I'm going to have to kind of guess. So I'm going to have to guess what the action's going to be when it gets to New York. All right, now, I did a reset on this. Now, the saddle ended up being just a little bit low, 110, which, I got a piece of salsa in there from lunch. Okay, so, I would prefer that saddle to be about 125. 110 is acceptable if the action was perfect. But if he wants to lower the saddle, and he's going to have to lower it about 20 thousandths of an inch, then that saddle is not acceptable. So, this is a good opportunity to go ahead and put a taller saddle on here. But the problem is I'm going to have to guess at what the guitar is going to be when it gets there. I'm going to put a new taller saddle in here of about 135 to 140 with an action of 93 here. And I'm probably going to also make him a couple of extra saddles, and I'm not going to glue him in. This is a long vintage saddle, and I glue him in, but you don't have to be glued in right away. So what I'm probably going to do here is I'm going to reset the neck, and I'm going to make a taller saddle, probably a couple of saddles, and I will send that back to him, and then everything should be good. So the trick that I'm going to use here is, as you can see, there's only 2 strings on the guitar. When it was fully at pitch, I had 93 thousandths of an inch on the low E. So I took these strings off. I have just the 2 E's on here, and they've got just a little bit of tension. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the action now with just a little bit of tension on these 2 E strings. Then when I'm doing the neck reset, I can pull some tension on just the 2 E's when it's in my jig, and I can measure that and compare it. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean. So this started off at 93 thousandths of an inch when it had all the strings on it and all the tension. So I'm going to start with 76 thousandths of an inch here. 12th fret. It's got a little clearance. Now I want to measure this accurately because this is important in this case. I don't want to mess up again. I paid for the shipping back on this, $130 out of my pocket. And I'm going to pay for shipping back to him, $250 out of my pocket for shipping. Obviously, I don't want to see this guitar again. And I want customers happy, so, you know. At this point, it's not quite a free job, but it definitely is a free neck reset. So I'm going to add 8 thousandths of an inch to this. I like that. So I've got 85 thousandths of an inch. About 86 thousandths of an inch. I need my pencil. 86 thousandths of an inch at rest. So I'm going to write that down here. 80, and I actually did write it down, but I'm going to put a little bit more. I think it's 86. So at rest, 86 thousandths of an inch. Now, my action was 93. His action was 105. So that's a difference of 10 thousandths of an inch. Okay, so I'm 86. I want to drop that by 10 thousandths of an inch, so 76. So I want this at rest to be 76 thousandths of an inch, which seems pretty high because I normally shoot for about 68. Yeah. Let's see what the straight edge going down here is going to tell me. And it is absolutely just kissing the bridge. It ought to be clearing that bridge by quite a bit, 50 thousandths of an inch or so. Yeah, it ought to be clearing the bridge by about 50 thousandths, maybe 60 thousandths of an inch at rest. So that tells me that the neck angle is not quite strong enough for either one of us. We're going to run this down here, and this is in another video, but what I do, look at that. It's got a lot of wobble right there. Got a lot of wobble on the upper bout right here. The upper bout is raised just a little bit, but that would drop the action because it would make the neck kick back just a little bit. So that actually should be helping us, but it's not. So I'm going to run the straight edge down here, and it's not high enough. It's not. It's hard to do. It's got some pretty good bulging going on right here. This straight edge ought to be at the top of the fingerboard right here. I like that. Bottom of the straight edge, top of the fingerboard. I've been through this in some of my other videos, but it ought to be about right there. Let's try to get that on camera. Should be right there. And it's not. It is just a little bit below. So again, that's not too bad though. That's not as bad of a measurement as this one is. definitely is not as touching. Which is alright, so that's consistent. So I'm on 76. Also, because this saddle is a little bit low, God, this is a lot of math. The saddle is 110. I want it to be about 130. Let's say 135. So I got about another thing here. Saddle is 110, and I want it to be 135. That's 25 thousandths of an inch. At the saddle, half of 25,000, half of 24 would be 12. So that means that, look at that, my it looked perfect. With the correct saddle on here, my 93 thousandths would turn into 105, 12 thousandths of an inch. Right? Yes, 12 thousandths of an inch. So with the saddle of 135, my action would be 105, which would be too high. So, interesting. That's a funny coincidence that those two numbers are the same. I'm thinking. It's just coincidence. I hate coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidence. It's coincidence. Okay, anyway. So, my action would be 105. I want it to be 90. I want it to be 90 thousandths of an inch because he wants it low. So, 105 minus 90 would be 15 thousandths of an inch. Times 2 would be 30 at the saddle. Divided by 3 would be 10 thousandths of an inch. All I have to do is take 10 thousandths of an inch off the back of the neck. That's crazy. I mean, this shows you how precise the neck resets have to be. 10 thousandths of an inch. There's 11. I mean, it's so close, but it's not. Close, but no cigar. Here's 10 thousandths of an inch here on my calipers. So you can see what that gap is. That's how much the neck heel is off. You know, I mean, it's so close, but it's not. My main thing that I want to do here, though, is I want an accurate spec right here, so that when I put this in the jig, I can measure this accurately and see what I'm going to get. So at rest, this is 86. I want it to be 76. I really think that ought to be about 68. 68 is what I always shoot for. I'm going to give this one a little bit of a slack because it just came unstrung. So the top has still got some rise in it. It's still feeling the strings, in other words. But I think I'll be pretty safe when I reset the neck and put it back in the jig. I think I'm going to be pretty safe at having, with my new saddle in there, 70 thousandths of an inch clearance here. It's a lot of math. So I'm at 86 right now, and I would be dropping at 16, which would be 30, which would be the saddle height change, yeah? So here's 60. When I put this all back together again, which I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to want to see about 70 thousandths of an inch clearance right here. Quite a bit. Okay. I'm going through all these checks and all these double checks of the checks so that I'll have multiple ways to check this thing. And again, I'm going to have to shoot at what it is going to be in New York. That's the hard part about this. I'm not just doing it for me here in the shop in 8,500 feet elevation north of New Mexico. I'm trying to predict what this is going to be in New York. And I don't know why I have this trouble. I've had this trouble twice since moving here. And both guitars are from New York. Another coincidence. I don't know about this. I guess we'll find out. So, I'm going to pull the neck off. I'm going to take about 10 thousandths of an inch. I'm going to make sure that this clears, and it did when I first did it. You know, I didn't mess up on this. I had this clearing when I put it back on. But I'm going to be sure that it clears. Yeah, 30 thousandths of an inch. And we will hear from the customer. He also says the 15th fret is high when he rocks it, but you can't rock the 15th fret because the fingerboard starts dropping off right here. So the 15th fret is going to rock because of the drop off. The better way to do that is to take a straight edge, a good straight edge, not this one, and slide it down the fingerboard and see if it catches on there. The better way is you just take your next fret measurement and you fret this string and you look at the clearance on the next fret, and it's clearing that 15th fret with lots of clearance. So that's not an issue. You can't rock on the 15th fret. Yeah, that's clearing the 15th. Oh, here's the 15th. Yeah, 14, tons of clearance, I'm not worried about that. I got to pull it anyways because that's where the thing is. So I've got my steamer here, and I'm going to pop this neck off. And it shouldn't be a big deal because it's my fish glue, so I know there's not a lot of glue in there. And I probably ought to be able to put this neck back on this evening, which I need to do because I'm going back to Los Alamos in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. I got to be there. So I want to get this neck back on tonight so that it can sit in the clamps overnight. And then before I head off for Los Alamos, I can string it up. So the glue will be able to dry overnight, which is good. We'll be back, and I will show you the final result of this when I get it done. So not in the morning. I'm going to be in a hurry, but I wanted to get this on video so that you can see what my problem was here. So I'm going to take this neck off. We're back with the D-35 that Brian messed up. And I reset the neck, and I'm telling you, I barely reset this neck. I took this neck off, and immediately, straight edge down the fingerboard was clearing the bridge. It was almost touching the top of the saddle. So there was something about maybe the fit on the neck, even though it was tight and even though there wasn't a gap down there. You know, I don't know. It's occasionally, you may have heard me say this phrase, the neck is lying to me. And I lay the straight edge down there and I'll do this thing, and 2 or 3 of my checks, I have 2 or 3 checks. I check the actual action. I check the straight edge going down the board, touching the bridge, and then I lay the other straight edge across it and I look at the net. And sometimes 1 or 2 of those checks don't agree with the other check, and I'm like, I can't see anything obviously wrong, you know. And so I say the neck is lying to me, and so this neck was kind of like that. I took it off, put it back on, and I mean just rested it back onto the jig, and immediately that straight edge was almost the top of the saddle, which is way high, you know. So I went ahead and I took about 5 or 6 swipes on the neck right here just to kind of clean it up a little bit and work on the fit just a little bit better. I could have done maybe a little bit better fit. Took a little time and did that. Put it back together. And now with this exact same saddle, I have not touched the saddle. We started off with about 93 thousandths, 96 thousandths. I don't remember. It's on the earlier in the video. Thousandths of an inch right here. And right now, here's a 76. And it is absolutely barely clearing. I could not get another one in there. I couldn't get 78. 76 thousandths of an inch right here. So, like I said earlier in the video, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to guess at what it's going to be when he gets it back in New York and opens it up. And I hope it's 10 thousandths of an inch higher, you know. And with my luck, it's going to be exactly the same as when I sent it for some reason or another. I don't know. But at 76 thousandths of an inch, with the same saddle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple of saddles for him. And first of all, we're going to keep this saddle because this is a good saddle. And it's a little bit on the low side, but it's good. It's got great bite angles. The bridge is tall. There's not a thing in the world wrong with that saddle. If it was 10 thousandths of an inch taller, that would be fine too. I wouldn't go much a whole lot taller than that. 20 thousandths, now I'm starting to get a little bit on the high side. But I'm going to leave this saddle. I'm going to make another one that puts the action at, 76, probably 84 thousandths of an inch, because that's the next feeler gauge. So I've got 76, and then I'm going to throw an 8 on there, and that's going to be 84 thousandths of an inch. The other saddle will produce 84 thousandths of an inch for me. If he gets it back home and it's 10 thousandths of an inch higher, that's going to be 94 thousandths of an inch, which is perfect. That's a 3/32 of an inch action, which is very, very standard. And if that's too high for him, which is okay, I think this owner wants a really, really low, slinky action. So that 93 might be a little bit too high for him. Fine. He can drop back to this one, which would be 10 thousandths of an inch lower on the action. One of those saddles is going to be good. And I might make a third saddle that's, somewhere in between, just because making saddles is the easiest, cheapest part of the whole deal. I paid to have this guitar shipped back to me, $125. So making another, and I am paying to ship it back. So I'm out $250 on this guitar. And believe me, making a couple of extra saddles is the cheapest part of the whole entire deal. And what's ironic about this is I did the neck reset for free because after I took the bridge height down, I thought it was too high, so I did a reverse neck reset on it. And because it was my mistake, and I should have measured everything a little bit more accurately before I took the bridge down, and so I just said, it's my mistake. I'll go ahead and reset the neck for free. And here I am doing 2 neck resets and paying shipping back and forth on it. That's just the way it goes sometimes, Every time I try to do a good deed, it bites you in the butt. So, but whatever. It all comes out in the wash in the end, and I don't care. I want the guitar right. I want the customer happy. So that's what's going to happen to this guitar. And I just wanted to show you the process of evaluating a guitar that was not right for some reason or another, and I have no idea why. It varies 10 thousandths of an inch from here to there. I humidified this thing. I put 65% humidity in it for over a week, and I got the action up 3 thousandths of an inch. I don't know. I've had that happen twice, and both times were in New York. I got another guitar coming back. We'll take a look at it. We'll evaluate it when it comes in. And it's the same deal. Over several months, the action has risen on it. I don't know why. I would have seen. In 22 years, and I used to do about 150 guitars a year. I don't do nearly that many. This is a very, very rare thing. The only time I've had actions really rise is when the guitar was really compromised, like Roy's guitar. Roy's HD28 there, where the entire top had blown off, and I rebuilt the top. HD28 too, with that over scallop top. Yeah, that guitar was compromised, and so that wasn't too surprising. But this is a D-35. I haven't scalloped it. The top, there's no belly. I mean, the top is beautiful. There's no top belly going on here. The relief is beautiful. This is what I reduced the relief on too. And the relief is just fabulous. 6 thousandths of an inch, 5 thousandths of an inch. I mean, the relief is great. So, I don't know. Customer took good pictures, which is great, I mean, I love that, It was like, okay, great. I mean, he took really good pictures of the 3 big things: straight edge down the fingerboard, straight edge down the body, and the action against the ruler. And there was no question. I mean, it was pushing 4/30,000ths of an inch, which is 110. It was, yeah, I mean, there was no question. I get it. I open it up, and the action's 90,000ths of an inch. Don't know. But here we go. I'm going to make a new saddle for it. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to keep it. I don't see. It's been sitting for a week right now. I put the neck on. I went back to Los Alamos. So it's been sitting for a week. It hasn't budged. It was 76 when I left. It's 76 now. It hasn't budged. So I don't see any real reason to keep this thing for a long time. I'm going to do a new saddle for it. We'll keep this one. Send them both home. And we're going to get it right. Okay. We will hear from the customer, I am sure. Wow, let's check this D-35 out. This is the one they gave, on this video that gives you the mysterious trouble. So the action is 84,000ths of an inch right now, down to about, I think, 76, 75 or so, maybe even lower than that, maybe 70. It's the same as I run on my Telecaster, my Strat. This is a low action. This is a very big, fat, thick neck, very C-shaped. It's got a massive heel right up in here. If you've ever played, since I brought up electric guitar, if you've ever played like a 50s no-caster with that big neck, that's what this feels like. So it's a little bit of a feel that I'm not really used to. I like a V-neck. So I got to get kind of used to this neck, but the action's very low. What we're looking at here is, I'm documenting the buzzes, okay? If there's any buzzes, the fact that it plays clean up the neck. And it's got the medium saddle in it right now. It can go lower and it can go a little bit higher. I did end up cutting in 3 saddles total, the original one and then 2 extras. And hopefully that'll give him some options, okay? So let's go up here and play some notes up here. I wouldn't play these notes, but there they are. Super easy to play chords. I mean, plays on electric guitar. That's probably the most one of the harder licks that I know. It covers the whole neck on that. Sounds great to me. I couldn't play it too hard. I mean, I could probably make it buzz. Let's see. Let's try to play it normal. That's about as hard as I would ever play. You know. You know what that shows you though is that with a well set up guitar with not much relief, the relief is really good on it now. You can get by with a much lower action than you really think, because I'm getting good string clearance up here. And it's falling off after this, so yeah. I'm getting terrific clearance up there. That's normal playing, you know. I'm hitting it pretty hard on that. I'm not babying it. And this is a heavy red bear, medium. This is a medium red bear pick, so it's a pretty stiff pick. So anyway, there it is. I'm gonna sit at home. See what this looks like. Looks good. Plays great. Gosh. And it can go lower. It's got a lower saddle. But hopefully this should be good. And hopefully, I don't know. I still don't know what the problem was. That always bothers me when I don't actually find the problem. And yeah, I went back and I redid everything and set everything and everything. But I did not find a significant, an actual problem. For instance, as you know, I've been working in Los Alamos on our commercial building. The HVAC system went down in late February, and the cooling tower on the roof froze. It was like, so what happened here? So we went up there, we troubleshot it, and the thing is, we have these pipes, and they're supposed to have hot water running through them, right? So it's warm. You know, these pipes are warm. And this one pipe comes across like this, dead ends at a valve, and it comes down into a T, and then it runs through the air eliminator thing, and then it goes on. And it's hot right here and cold right here. So the water's supposed to come down here, hot, cold. And then past that, cold. And so it's like, what's going on here? You know, how come it's hot here and cold right here, and it's hot all the way around the rest of the system, but it stops right here? What's the problem here? You know, something changed, because it's always been hot, you know, all the way around. And I've got temperature gauges and stuff like that. And we looked and we looked and we looked and we looked for airlocks and all kinds of stuff, and we're getting water everywhere. And we finally said, you know, there's got to be 2 pumps in here. I mean, all the specs call for 2 pumps. There's only 1 pump. We're looking at 1 pump right here, and it's working. I know it's working because because we took it off. You know, we checked everything. But what happens is, I got a valve out on the roof where the water cooler is supposed to be drained, or can be drained. So we turned the water on. This is my idea. We turned the water on, watch it run out, and then turn the pump on. And I would expect for that water flow to just go from, you know, just coming out to shooting 5 feet across the roof, because it's got to have some pressure. It did not. So something's going on here. Even though this pump is not working, there's got to be something stopping the water, something going on down there. Finally, called some people up, the people that actually put the cooling tower on the roof. They said, we know where the second pump is. And we found it. And it's underneath the stairs, the back stairs. No, not even the front stairs where people use. It's under the back stairs and a manhole cover. Somebody, not me, one of my tenants, had put a box over it. So we didn't see the manhole cover. And plus, we just didn't get down there. So there's a bunch of us there. There's my plumber HVAC guy, the people put the cooling tower. They've each got 2 people. So there's 5 of us standing there. We pried that cover off, and there's water coming out of the pump. 2 pumps that are down there. One of them is just leaking. It's gushing up 3 feet. Not 3 feet. It's gushing up that high in the air. And all of us went, well, there's the problem. And I was so relieved, because we found the problem. You see, it was clear that was the problem. And that thing, it's a hole in the ground, and the hole in the ground is, over my head, because it was probably 7 feet down, 6 feet, 7 feet down, 6 feet guys are standing up, and the water in there was up to my chest. And still, the water from the pump was shooting up. And that was just the residual water with no pump action going on. That was just the force of the water coming down from the top of the building, forcing that water up about 3 feet in the air. And the sump pump that was supposed to be in there had failed. So it wasn't pumping that water out of there. It was just draining. Point being of all that is that was something I worked on for 3 weeks, trying to find the problem. And we found the problem, and it was such a relief because now I had the problem. So on this guitar, I did not find a problem. I fixed it, I went back in and I reset the neck. But the thing is when I set it back the first time on the first video, I videoed this guitar a lot of times. This is the guitar that I talk about how to adjust the relief in a non-adjustable truss rod. I talked about maybe the fat bridge in it. I videoed it at least 2 or 3 times, including on that one video, Farewell to 5 guitars. This guitar is in it. I played it back to back with 4 other guitars, and it was not an oddball. The action was 93 thousandths of an inch. He gets it. It's 105. Why? I don't know. I don't know. So that bothers me that I haven't found the problem. But I set it back with the lower action. If this action stays stable and it's good for him, we're all happy. And if it's not, he'll go to a lower saddle. And if for some oddball, crazy reason the action goes up, then he's got the taller saddle that he can work with. I gave him some options there, but I wish I would have found something concrete, like, the heel gap, the heel's coming off, or, something like that. And I did not. The heel's on there tight. It was on tight when it left. It drives me nuts. But that does happen occasionally. Sometimes you get just mysterious things. And really, that's the whole point of the whole video. It's not really that Brian messed up, because I don't know how I messed up, I sent it off, and it was good, and it wasn't good when it got there, and immediately when it got there. So it's not really that I messed up. It's more like this is a documentation of one of those strange problems. That's just the way it is. Sometimes you just fix the problem and never know what the actual problem was. The end result is what matters. But I wish I knew why that action went up. So, alrighty. Here we go.